It's a time for the psychic spin. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
Yay.
let's set that up. Okay. So it's time for the psychic spin. We know what that means. We're going to look at the big questions. And so, Mary, you were saying in the news, everybody's talking about, recession and
Everybody, and
prices and
not even just the news. I
inflation.
mean, everybody I talk to, the
Oh,
clients
okay.
that I talk to, of course it's on the news like constantly. It's like, when is this going to come down? And plus, the whole election cycle, and everybody's promising us all kinds of stuff and blaming the other people for the situation, whatever. We
Of
need the bottom
course.
line here. We need to know, because we go to the grocery store, milk is like $5 a gallon. It's insane. It's totally insane. So yeah, people want to know, when is this going to end? Is it going to keep going up? Are prices ever going to come down? We saw gas prices come down a little bit, and we were hoping, a lot of people were hoping that would sort of trickle down, since that was sort of the excuse for things being
Right.
so expensive elsewhere. And yeah, that hasn't really happened yet. So it might be a good idea to take a look at it. Is it going to get worse before it gets better?
And that's exactly what I was going to mention, is that some of the prices did come down, especially
Yeah.
here in Arizona. The gas prices, came down.
Yeah.
But it hasn't translated to the, they were using that as the excuse, and it
Yeah.
hasn't translated into the other prices of the goods being transported coming down, which leads me to believe, as I'm very cynical about this and always have been, that if a company can find a way to gouge, they're going to
They'll
do
do
it.
it. Oh yeah.
Yes. And I just think that that's, what's going on. That's what I think is
Yeah.
going on here.
Well, what do the cards say?
I asked it as a straightforward yes, no, and I got 3 yeses out of 5, 2 no's. Will the prices come down anytime soon? So that's a muddled answer. We're not getting a strong yes or no. It's leaning towards yes. I think, especially as we go through the rest of the year, into the end of the year, and then into the beginning of 2023, that's when we're going to start to see even more of this kind of, but I don't think it's going to be like a precipitous drop where the prices are just going to go, boom, I don't think they're going to go like this, Mary. I think it's going to be, and if they come down at all, they're going to come down really slowly. In a market like in the housing market, you can have, remember they had the housing bubble,
Mhm.
And that pops and then the prices drop really fast. Most things are not forming bubbles like that, and it is in the car market. I think that the car market, I think, is going to bust. I think the prices are going to eventually come down. But once companies get prices up, they're really hesitant to bring it down very much after that. It might be a little bit, but it's like, they want to hold on to those additional profits. I do think we're transitioning. The first card, I cut the deck and got the Heart of the Matter card, and it was the Death card. Transition. Yes, I think we're in a transition. I don't think it's going to be fast enough to help the elections. I don't see it like, suddenly, but in the timing position, I'm getting the 4 of Wands. So it's a celebration card, and I'm thinking that's leaning towards 4 months as far as that goes. What else am I getting? Okay, so the Knight of Coins. That is the knight, right? Not the king. I'm still getting used to what it looks like on Chiro's deck. He puts the KN for knight, and then
Yeah.
I think just a K or maybe a KG for king. I think it's a K. And so, it's individual people, individual folks in control that have the control over all of this. I think by the end, we're all going to be really weary. You know how typically in the deck, 10 of Wands is about being overburdened and the struggles and stuff like that. I got the 9 of Wands again, and like I got for the when I was pulling the cards of the day, it's part of that 3, 6, 9 creativity and communication numbers. But in this version from Chiro, he looks pretty weary there. And
Yeah.
that came towards the end, before the 4 of Wands. And I think we're all going to get more weary of this before anything else. The only other card I'm getting, which was one of the yes cards, is the 2 of Swords. So I think there's a cross purposes, cross ideas going on in the market. There's profit over
People.
And so I think that's what that's talking about, actually. What did you get on
it? Something interesting, and kind of happens sometimes when we're working with decks that like have a different approach and everything. Like, and I don't know why, but it just struck me. The 8 of Swords came up in the past position, kind of like, how did we get here? And on the card itself is talking about needing to release ourselves from self-inflicted wounds. So I never really thought about that with the 8 of Swords, because swords are of the mind or whatever. But yeah, the economy being where it sort of is a self-inflicted wound, but like globally, so much of this is connected to how the pandemic was handled worldwide, and that was such a mixed approach when you look at like all the different countries and everything, and how they approached it. And yet, we were all affected by it. But, so the 8 of Swords comes up in the past position. What does it tell us? Well, going from that into the Hanged Man, where we are right now, that we're still in limbo with this. This isn't going away anytime soon. And I get the 7 of Cups, as well as the 7 of Wands. And we end with the Page of Wands there in the future. Finally, a little glimmer of hope. I'm gonna take it all the way out to April. I'm gonna say this: we're not getting out of this. We're not really seeing, those good signs of hope until the spring, probably April timeframe, maybe beginning of April. When the wands start growing is one way to look at it, but yeah, so we got to hang in there. It's not going to last forever. It never does. Change is the only constant. So this is going to change as well. Prices coming down. I'm not really getting a sense of how far down they're going to come, but I think you're right, Dax, in saying that people like to be getting those higher price items. From the business perspective, if they can keep it up, they will. And that 7 of Wands, is saying like, okay, we're going to have to take protective measures. Look at your budget, look where you're shopping, look for better deals, find ways to do things to kind of adapt. The old saying, adapt or die, right? So this is something we're going to have to adapt to, at least for the next 7 months. And then finally, we get a little bit of a break from this and things start to shift. So that is what I am getting. That's not too far off. It's not like years of runaway inflation and we're all broke. It's better outlook than that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. It's not for forever, but the other thing is that I think that it's not so much the market, it's more about timing with the time of year, with the elections coming up, with the end of the year being so close. The whole December buying season, that's going to be interesting to see
Oh
what
yeah.
goes on with consumer products, because you know how they love to drastically drop the prices and make a lot of sales. I mean, that's when most businesses make most of their sales of the entire year, is the last quarter, and especially the last month for the
Yeah.
holiday season. Are the prices still going to come down like they normally do?
What about Black Friday?
And yeah, Black Friday and supply. Is there going to be the supply for the demand? And that's why I think I got the 4 months.
Mm.
That it's going to take at least that long to get into the new year, and that's when you're going to see the shifts starting to happen. I
Or at
mean,
least
that's,
some movement, hopefully, with the holiday season, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
we've
don't
been
want it
really
to be
lucky.
like, yeah, we don't want it to be like, sad and, nobody
Mhm.
can afford, you know, anything for the holidays, having to make homemade gifts, although homemade gifts are nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm also thinking of um oh, having
Mm.
having having a senior moment here. What was I talking about?
We need
Um
a sound effect for senior moments. I wonder
I
what that would sound
know.
like.
I
An
know. I know.
ambulance.
Um oh, I remember now. I remember now, because I started to say something, but then I stopped to let you finish what your thought there, and then what I was going to say popped out of my head. It's
Mm.
because what I was going to say is that, we've been really lucky here in Arizona, especially down here in Tucson. We're not seeing these crazy prices. For some reason, gasoline has always been cheaper here than in other parts of the country. I mean, California, where the crude and the gasoline, comes in and it's refined, is like anywhere from $1 to $2 more a gallon year round. Um,
Yeah.
and then we have a pipeline that comes here. And here it's cheap,
Yeah.
at least a couple of dollars usually. And the prices went up. At one point it like hit 5, and then it's come way down now. Other parts of the country, I mean, they were seeing like European prices, $6 to $10 a gallon. And then other things like milk, and people were talking about 50-cent eggs, just incredible prices, and when I keep coming back to that gouging thing, because when I see something double, I know that the gasoline's gone up, but there's it just doesn't equate, Mary. There's not a doubling in the cost. And they say, well, supply chain and all that stuff. Yeah, but the parts get there. You put the parts together. It may cost you a few extra cents to get it transported to where it's going, but
Yeah.
not double, or
Yeah. Well, worker shortages too, have been,
Mhm.
something associated with that. And I'm in Texas. We're used to everything being dirt cheap. The gas, we
Mm.
make the gas,
You make the gas. Yeah.
you know, but, they're everything's connected, everything's connected. But gouging absolutely has been an issue, definitely with gasoline prices. And I don't know. I think it might be. But that might be another question to ask along with this, along with asking about when they're going to come down, if they're going to come down. Are is gouging a part of it? Are people that can affect the overall price,
Mhm.
so like the big wigs, the big companies, the big meat packers, the big,
Mm.
produce people, are they gouging on purpose, or was it a bad harvest like they're saying? Is it a
Mhm.
transportation issue, all of that,
Well,
or are
California's
they?
in that drought too. They've been in a drought for
Yeah.
years now, actually. And um,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, but here we haven't seen 50-cent eggs. I mean, yeah, things have gone up $1 here, 50 cents there, but not like they're seeing in other places. Of course, petrol's always been way expensive in Europe. That's why people ride a lot of bicycles and public transportation there.
Yeah.
Are they gouging? Are they gouging? Are they gouging? What are we seeing here? Um, hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, I got 4 out of 5 yes cards on that.
Wow.
Look, judgment came up. Dun, 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 dun.
Mm.
It's like the universe going, duh. Of course they're gouging. Of
Yeah.
course they're gouging. Um,
Yeah.
and I got the Lover's card. And the original meaning of the Lover's card, for a lot of folks was choice. What I'm seeing with that is we're not talking about romantic love, but we're talking about
Love of money.
yeah, it's the love of money and the coming together of the separate forces in a perfect storm where you you have all the different individual issues, and then you've got companies wanting to make money, and it's a
Yeah.
perfect love fest going on right now. The companies are loving it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, more millionaires and billionaires are made in recessions and in inflationary periods than in any other time.
Hmm.
Hmm. And then look
Something
what,
to think about. Yeah.
and they're playing us as the fool, as always.
We're just a pawn in their game.
Yep. Did you pull any cards on that?
I did, and I think it tells an interesting story, really.
Mhm.
5 of Pentacles in the past position. So look, a lot of these companies that we're talking about did lose money previously. A lot of people,
Mm.
lost a lot of money, especially involved with transportation and everything, because people were under quarantine. So the demand went way down. If I don't know if you remember this or not, but during like kind of the height of the pandemic, oil went negative. And that like really hurt a lot of people in Texas, especially like Midland, Odessa, where the oil fields are, that kind of thing. When oil was like worth nothing, that was crazy. So then what happens, that's in the past. And now you have the King of Swords kind of representing like these big wigs, right? And 7 of Wands comes up underneath them. So now he's protecting, you know. It's gouging in the sense of like, no, I'm going to recoup that loss that I had before. I'm holding on
Mm.
to it now. I'm not giving any
Interesting.
leeway, because we also have the Hanged Man too. So there are people keeping those prices up, I think, whether we call it gouging or a protective stance. Yeah, I guess it's like, how we want to look at it. But in the future position, I have the 2 of Wands. So they're going to reach a crossroads where they can't get away with it anymore.
Mm.
So I feel like, yeah, that's a factor. But, you know, if we can try and see from the perspective of what the experience was like to be in some of these industries, where they were pretty sure that they were going to stay in business for a long time. They were pretty sure
Yeah.
that they were just going to keep making profits, and then the world got turned upside down on them, and a lot of like refineries shut down, like a lot of people went out of business, And a lot of people suffered losses, even though, they
Hmm.
had the government program to help them. Um, that help didn't always trickle down in a even way, let's
Yeah.
say. Right. So there's reasons why
Recouping the
people are,
losses. Hmm.
yeah,
I
there's
still think
reasons
a lot of
why.
companies made a lot of money even during the COVID crisis part, when in 2020,
Absolutely.
it's really, but
Absolutely.
a lot of, especially smaller companies lost money. Uh,
Yeah.
One card from that draw that I didn't mention is the Eight of Wands. And
Mm,
I think that goes along with what you said just a minute ago, and that it's getting the word out. It's, because when I get the Eight of Wands, a lot of times it's the internet for me. That and
mm,
the world card, especially if the world card's next to the Eight of Wands, but it's things happening quickly, and so fast communication. So that's where the idea for a contemporary meaning of the card, the internet, telecommunications, things like that. Some of the swords
mm.
cards fit that as well. But that's what I think is going on, is that um, unlike other periods, we are so vested in social media and the internet now that we can get the information out quickly. And I think um it's between the companies and the powers that be versus everyday people like you and me, and the only way we have to fight back is the communication. And
Complain.
yeah, and if we, if more and more people would you know take their camera and video the gouging and get it on YouTube, um talk to their fellow interview their fellow citizens where they are and what's going on with the pricings and things like that, and talk about this stuff, and talk shows, and you know Joe Rogan needs to do something. I'm just saying, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
the only way we have, for fighting back. Anyway, so
Mm,
we will be back on Monday. And don't forget,
yes.
yeah, don't forget to buy us a cup of coffee, coffee.tarottoday.live. And if you want a longer reading with us, pop over to tagteam.tarottoday.live. You can book a private session with Mary and I together. That's right.
Together.
Yep.